Las Vegas, 1986. The scorching Nevada sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the desert landscape. Muhammad Ali sat alone in his hotel suite, staring out at the glittering strip below. At 44 years old, the former heavyweight champion of the world was no longer the fighter he once was. His hands, once lightning-fast weapons that had danced and punched their way to glory, now trembled slightly as he raised a glass of water to his lips. 3 years had passed since his retirement from boxing, and the early symptoms of Parkinson's disease were becoming more noticeable. Fame remained, but the fortune was dwindling. His financial advisors had made poor investments, and Ali found himself in a position he never thought possible, worried about money. If this story has made you feel something, no matter how small, don't leave without giving back. Comment and tell me where you're watching this video from, and subscribe to the channel. A knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. His manager, Harold Jenkins, entered with an envelope in hand and an expression that suggested either very good or very bad news. "Muhammad, you might want to hear this," Harold said, his voice carrying an unusual mix of excitement and concern. "The Starlight Casino wants you for one night, just to attend their anniversary party, shake a few hands, take some photos. $8 million. Ali's eyebrows raised slightly. $8 million? For one night? His voice was softer now, the famous booming declarations of his youth replaced by a more measured tone. "What's the catch?" Harold shrugged. "That's just it. There doesn't seem to be one. The owner, Richard Thornton, is apparently a huge fan. Been following your career since the Olympics. He's turning 60 and having you there is his birthday wish." Ali remained skeptical. In his experience, when something seemed too good to be true, it usually was. "Tell me about this Thornton character." "Self-made billionaire. Built his casino. Empire from nothing. Controversial figure. Some love him, some hate him. Has a reputation for extravagant gestures." Harold paused. "Look, I've checked this out as thoroughly as I could. The money's real. Half up front, half after the appearance." Ali gazed back out at the Vegas skyline, considering $8 million would solve so many problems. It would secure his family's future, fund the charitable causes he cared about, give him breathing room to focus on his health. But something about it didn't sit right. "I don't dance for rich men's amusement, Harold. You know that. It's not dancing, Muhammad. It's an appearance, 4 hours, maximum. You've done it countless times before. Not for this kind of money." Ali sighed, his mind working through the possibilities. What does a man like Thornton really want from me? As the desert night settled over Las Vegas, Ali made his decision. He would accept the offer, but on his terms. He wasn't just a celebrity for hire, he was Muhammad Ali, and if Richard Thornton wanted the greatest at his party, he would get the greatest, unfiltered, uncompromising, and unpredictable. What neither man could have anticipated was that this seemingly straightforward business arrangement would spiral into one of the most extraordinary nights of Ali's post-boxing life, changing not only his fortunes, but those of everyone involved in ways none could have predicted. The Starlight Casino stood as a monument to excess and luxury, its facade adorned with countless lights that seemed to challenge the very stars above. 3 weeks after accepting the offer, Ali's limousine pulled up to the private entrance, where a red carpet stretched like a crimson river toward the golden doors. Richard Thornton had spared no expense. The guest list for his 60th birthday celebration read like a who's who of American elite. Hollywood celebrities, business tycoons, politicians, and sports legends. But everyone knew who the real star of the evening was. Inside the limousine, Ali adjusted his custom-made Armani tuxedo, a gift from Thornton that had arrived at his hotel suite earlier that day, along with a handwritten note expressing the casino magnate's excitement. The suit was impeccably tailored, But Ali felt strangely uncomfortable, not because of the fit, but because of what it represented. "Remember," Harold said, checking his platinum Rolex, "4 hours, minimal physical exertion. If you feel tired, at any point, give me the signal and I'll create an exit strategy." Ali nodded, though his mind was elsewhere. Through the tinted windows, he could see the paparazzi gathered like predators, cameras at the ready. Once, he had thrived on this attention. Now, it exhausted him before he'd even stepped out of the car. As the door opened and Ali emerged, the flashes began, a storm of light and noise. Despite his health challenges, he summoned the old charisma, standing tall as he waved to the cameras. The crowd erupted at the sight of him, their cheers echoing through the night air. At the entrance stood Richard Thornton himself, a tall, imposing figure with silver hair and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Beside him was a woman, half his age, draped in diamonds that caught and fractured the light. "The greatest arrives," Thornton announced, extending his hand. "Muhammad Ali in my casino. My childhood hero. This is truly the honor of my life." Ali took the man's hand, feeling the firm grip of someone accustomed to power. "The honor's mutual," he replied diplomatically, though he wasn't yet sure if that was true. The interior of the Starlight was a testament to Thornton's billions. Marble floors imported from Italy, chandeliers dripping with crystal, gaming, tables crafted from rare woods, and artwork worth more than most people would earn in several lifetimes. The air was thick with expensive perfume, cigar smoke, and the unmistakable scent of money. As Ali was escorted through the main floor, conversations halted and all eyes turned to him. He heard whispers, some of awe, some of pity. He knew what they saw, a legend whose physical decline was visible for all to witness. But what they couldn't see was the fire that still burned within him, a flame that Parkinson's might dim but could never extinguish. The private elevator that took them to the penthouse suite was lined with gold and rare African mahogany. As they ascended, Thornton spoke continuously, dropping names of his celebrity friends and the cost of various features of his casino empire. His wife, or girlfriend, Ali wasn't sure, remained silent, her eyes fixed on her diamond-encrusted clutch. "8 million for just showing up," Thornton said, lowering his voice conspiratorially. "Crazy, right? But worth every penny to have the greatest at my birthday. Though I'm hoping you might do a little more than just show up." Ali felt Harold stiffen beside him. "The agreement was for an appearance only," his manager interjected quickly. Thornton laughed, waving a dismissive hand. "Relax, I'm not asking him to put the gloves back on, though wouldn't that be something?" He turned to Ali. "No, I have something else in mind, something memorable." Before Ali could respond, the elevator doors opened to reveal a scene of almost obscene opulence. The penthouse had been transformed into what appeared to be a replica of a Roman emperor's court, complete with servers dressed as gladiators and women in togas carrying trays of champagne in solid gold flutes. And in the center of it all, surrounded by Vegas's elite, stood a full-sized boxing ring. The sight of the boxing ring sent a chill through Ali. Memories flooded back. The roar of the crowd, the taste of leather and salt, the symphony of pain and triumph that had defined his life for so many years. For a moment he was back in Zaire, facing George Foreman, or in Manila with Joe Frazier, or at Madison Square Garden, where he had claimed and reclaimed his title. "What is this?" Ali asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. Thornton's smile widened as he guided Ali through the crowd of millionaires and billionaires who parted like the Red Sea. "Not what you think, champ. I wouldn't insult you by asking you to fight. This is something altogether different." At the ring stood a boy, perhaps 12 years old, thin and nervous in boxing shorts and gloves that seemed too large for his frame. The boy's eyes widened at the sight of Ali, a look of pure awe crossing his face. "This is my grandson, Tyler," Thornton said, his voice changing, softening. "He's been fighting a different kind of battle, leukemia. 3 years now, the doctors—" He paused, composure slipping for the first time. "The doctors say he might not see 13. The room had fallen silent. Even the orchestra in the corner had stopped playing. "His wish was to meet you," Thornton continued. "But more than that, he wanted to learn something from you, just one lesson from the greatest. I thought maybe you could step into the ring with him, not to fight, just to teach." Ali looked at the boy, seeing beyond the physical, weakness to the spirit within. He understood now. This wasn't about Thornton's ego or about making a spectacle of an aging champion. This was about a grandfather trying to give his dying grandson a moment that would outlast his short life. Without a word, Ali removed his tuxedo jacket and handed it to Harold, whose objections died on his lips as he read the determination in Ali's eyes. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the former champion climbed through the ropes, his movements slower than in his prime, but carried by a dignity that transcended his physical limitations. Tyler stood frozen, overwhelmed by the moment. Ali approached him, bent down slightly, and whispered something that only the boy could hear. Whatever he said made Tyler smile, the nervousness evaporating from his posture. For the next 30 minutes, the billionaires, celebrities, and power brokers of America watched as Muhammad Ali, the greatest, gave a boxing lesson to a child fighting for his life. Ali showed him how to stand, how to move, how to throw a jab. He demonstrated the famous Ali shuffle, drawing gasps and then applause as the old magic flickered to life. Throughout it all, Ali spoke to the boy, his voice too low for others to hear. But those close to the ring could see Tyler's face transform. Fear giving way to joy, weakness to strength, uncertainty to determination. When they finished, Ali raised the boy's hand as if he had just won a championship bout. The crowd erupted in applause, many wiping away tears that they hadn't expected to shed at a billionaire's birthday party. As Ali helped Tyler out of the ring, Thornton approached, his own eyes glistening. "Thank you," he said simply. "That was worth more than 8 million. Ali nodded, understanding passing between the two men, but the night's revelations were far from over. Later that evening, as the party continued around him, Ali found himself in a quieter corner of the penthouse, resting. The brief time in the ring had taken more out of him than he cared to admit. Harold hovered nearby, concerned, but respectful enough not to interfere. Thornton approached, alone this time, carrying 2 glasses of water. He handed one to Ali and sat down beside him, the weight of the evening evident in his posture. "You've given Tyler something priceless tonight," he said after a moment of silence. "Something that will stay with him, however long or short that may be." Ali took a sip of water. "The boy has heart. More than most men I've met with, twice his years and none of his troubles." Thornton nodded, looking out at the party, at the excess, the indulgence, the hollow laughter of the wealthy and powerful. "I built all this from nothing, you know. Grew up poor in Detroit, fought my way to the top, though not in a ring like you. In boardrooms, in banks, sometimes in back alleys." He paused. "Made billions. But tonight, watching you with Tyler, I realized something." "What's that?" Ali asked. "I've been fighting the wrong battles." Thornton turned to face him directly. "The 8 million, it was never about buying your presence. It was about buying your wisdom. I wanted to see what a true champion does with his legacy." Ali raised an eyebrow, intrigued despite his fatigue. "Tomorrow morning I'm announcing the creation of the Starlight Foundation," Thornton continued. $1 billion dedicated to pediatric cancer research and treatment. Tyler's legacy, whether he beats this thing or not." He hesitated. "I'd like you to be part of it. Not just as a figurehead, but as a guiding force. Your 8 million would be just the beginning." Ali studied the man before him, seeing past the billionaire facade to something more complex, a grandfather facing the potential loss of a child, a self-made man questioning the meaning of his success. Why me? Because you've always understood that true greatness isn't measured by what you achieve for yourself, but by what you do for others, Thornton replied. I've built casinos. You've built hope. The following morning, the headlines would shock the world. Casino magnate pledges billion-dollar foundation with Muhammad Ali at helm. The story would detail how what began as an extravagant appearance fee transformed into one of the largest private donations to medical research in history. In the years that followed, the Starlight Foundation would fund breakthroughs that would save thousands of children, including, against all odds, young Tyler Thornton. Ali would find a new purpose in his later years, his battle with Parkinson's continuing, but now fought alongside a new mission that gave meaning to his struggle. And it all began with what appeared to be an obscene amount of money for a simple appearance, $8 million that multiplied into billions, and more importantly, into countless lives saved and changed forever. The unexpected twist that night wasn't just about money or fame or even charity. It was about legacy, about how a champion facing the twilight of his life helped a billionaire understand the true meaning of wealth, and how a boy fighting for his future reminded them both of what it truly means to be the greatest. If you've made it this far and felt every word, don't leave without subscribing. I tell these stories with my heart in my hand to reach people like you, who feel, who get emotional, who live. If this really touched you, give back, comment, subscribe. Come be part of this family with me until the next video.